be because the DCEU sucks ass. Everyone knows it sucks ass. And I just don't feel like putting myself through that torture.
Even if I Patreoned it?
You wouldn't.
Oh, I would. And next week, you're going to be reviewing Batman v Superman with me.
No! Why? One is the Dark Knight of Gotham, protecting the streets from thugs, clowns, and an assortment of villainy. The other is the bringer of hope, the last son of Krypton, and the beacon of humanity we have left. And the two of them fighting each other honestly sounds freaking awesome. It's been done multiple times within the comics, and even has an animated film for it. But when we finally get a live-action film for Batman beating up Superman, what we instead got was a convoluted mess that was a jump start to a franchise that hadn't begun yet. So bear with me as we dive into Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition.
Our movie begins with yet again another look at childhood Bruce Wayne and his tragedy set to the opening credits.
And skip.
What do you mean, skip?
We don't need another retelling of Batman's backstory. We've seen it in every live-action film. We've noticed it in almost every animation. There's no reason to bring it up, or at least show it. Everyone knows Bruce Wayne's parents were killed. Period. End of story. So skip.
No, but could have left it on for Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Even Morgan doesn't warrant watching the Waynes get murdered again. We then get one of the few logical things in this film, connecting the DCEU together by showing us how Bruce handles the destruction of the fight between Zod and Superman from Man of Steel, which is basically him driving around Metropolis, seeing people in a panic, watching his entire Wayne building being destroyed as he helps save a couple of people, including a little girl whose mother was in the destroyed building. Hey, at least you'll have your next orphan to watch over. What? What'd I say?
We go to 18 months later as divers bring up a piece of kryptonite from the ocean before jumping Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen meeting up in a desert to interview a terrorist leader. While they are doing so, one of the men breaks Jimmy's camera and opens it, revealing a tracker, revealing that Olsen is in fact CIA, in which then he is shot. Jimmy Olsen is a major character with and for Superman. I mean, you can't have Clark Kent if you don't have Jimmy Olsen. They both work in the Daily Planet. It's just, why show a major Superman character if you're going to kill him off 5 minutes later? That just seems like a waste of potential.
I'm more concerned over the fact that they destroyed a perfectly good camera. The shooting begins as one side turns on the other with Lois captive. Superman eventually shows up and saves her like usual. But because of the situation and chaos, Superman is of course blamed for the attack that killed so many people. Meanwhile in Gotham, the GCPD investigate yet another Batman sighting, and we see that Batman has begun branding his villains. I mean, we already have the Batboat, the Batmobile, the Bat Shark Repellent. Why not Bat Thug?
Like the Joker says, not Jared Leto. Without Batman, crime has no punchline. But without thugs, Batman wouldn't have anything to do.
Merchandising.
Lois begins to contemplate everything that happened as Clark tries to reassure her that things will be alright. While at the Batcave, Bruce and Alfred discuss how much he has changed since Superman appeared, and the information he knows on KG Beast. At LexCorp, however, the Senator meets with Lex Luthor and is shown that Lex has a piece of kryptonite already and just needs her approval to bring in more from another country to build a weapon against the Kryptonians.
See, one of my gripes about this film is that Jesse Eisenberg is promoted as Lex Luthor, but his character acts more like the psychotic Lex Jr. within the comics. At least to me, anyway. So, my question is, when he mentions his father in this scene, is he alluding to the fact that he is Lex Jr., or is he talking about Lionel? Because, to me, Eisenberg just doesn't fit the Luthor persona.
But isn't there a point in the comics where, like back a long time ago, where Lex Luthor had hair but lost it because of Superman? Like, in this point, it would be because he was put in jail or whatnot. And back then, it was like some sort of like acid or something like that. I can't remember, but I remember the fact of him having hair before, but he lost it.
Yeah, in the Silver Age, they say while he was a teenager and Clark was a teenager. Yeah, in the Silver Age, when Lex and Clark were teenagers, they were supposedly... Yeah, when Lex and Superboy were teenagers, they claimed Superboy was responsible for a chemical explosion that lost Lex's hair. But they're still stupid. Lex is then given the permission he requested so he can experiment with Zod's dead body. Wallace, from the building collapsing in the beginning, decides it's time to show the world what Superman really is, as he vandalizes a statue of the hero. Clark heads to Gotham and learns of the Batman through fear-filled civilians, while Bruce pays a visit to the KG Beast in a fight club. Clark feels they should be covering the Batman story, but White thinks...
Crime wave in Gotham. Other breaking news. Water. Wet.
And in other news, I almost fell asleep getting to this part within the script, which shows you how boring this movie really is.
Well, maybe you should get one of those 5-hour energies. That way, you're running with sugar. Literally.
Don't lie. You know it's fucking boring.
Shows the info she knows about the bullets and requests a trip so she can prove her theories to correct it all, while Clark is told to go to a function by personal request. At Luthor Manor, the Senator once again meets with Lex as he compares Superman to a devil and a monster, while Bruce has a nightmare.
Bruce thinks that Lex is this white Portuguese leader and learns he has been invited to the same thing as Clark was. So we then head to that event where Clark acts like he doesn't know who the second richest person in the DC universe is right before Bruce uses it as a chance to snoop around his home to find any clues about what's going on. Lex introduces the two of them to each other.
How are we?
Lex.
Hello? Good. Hi, hello. Lex, it is a pleasure. Ow! Wow, that is a good grip. You should not pick a fight with this person.
Future plot things!
You really hate this film, don't you?
No, I want to make love to this movie while yelling Martha the whole time. Yes, I hate this movie!
As Bruce heads to grab his transfer device, he's followed by a woman in red while Clark heads off to save people from a burning building, and giving us one of the most iconic scenes from the film as the surrounding people reach up to him to touch their savior before getting a short montage of Superman saving lives.
While Lois continues her bullet lead, Clark investigates the Bat brand. Lex visits our paraplegic, giving him a reason to freshen up. Meanwhile, Bruce and the woman from the other night with him questioning why she took the device, only for her to say it's not his business before jumping to a random dream sequence that is supposed to be a dystopian future filled with demons and men beating the shit out of Batman, while Superman acts like he does from the Injustice series, before the Flash shows up out of nowhere and warns Bruce that Lois is the key and to not trust Superman. Okay, so here's one of my gripes for the film. This specific scene just shows up. It feels 100% out of place. 1 second he's at his computer, the next we're into the dream sequence, then he meets the Flash, and then he wakes up. I don't know if it's supposed to be presenting what is going to happen in future films because it didn't happen in Justice League, or if the writers just completely forgot that they made this scene. It just feels out of place to me. So that being said, let's finish this shit.
Batman finally gets the info he's been looking for by learning the white Portuguese is actually a ship carrying the kryptonite, and Alfred seems to be the only voice of reason as he tries to convince Bruce he's being stupid by feeling that killing Superman is the only option. Meanwhile, at the docks, we finally see something interesting happen as Batman tracks down KG Beast and does all he can to stop them until Superman shows up.
The first confrontation is cut short as Superman warns Batman to quit doing what he's doing, all while Bats asks him if he's human enough to bleed, while Lex wins and has the kryptonite. The Senator then goes on TV and invites Superman to a hearing in order to defend himself. Meanwhile, Lois is given all of the information about what really happened at the desert, and that the whole thing was just a setup by Lex to frame Superman. 'Cause of course it was.
During the committee hearing, we see all the parties involved doing what they are setting out to do, and as the Senator stutters on her words, a bomb goes off.
Nope, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. An hour and a half, and they haven't even actually fought yet. This film is nothing but padding, and I'm just done. I'm done.
Superior Critic? Where'd you go? Cuz? Hello?
You're still here, aren't you?
Oh. You're back. Done with your little fit?
Really want to torture me more with this film that is literally an hour and a half of padding so far.
Then let's get to finishing this review, shall we?
Okay. Let's fucking finish this.
The city is now in a frenzy as Superman helps collect the dead bodies of the victims while Batman breaks into LexCorp in order to steal the kryptonite that Lex has. And even though Lois can't break Emo Man out of his depressional state, she tries to get him to understand the world still needs Superman.
We then get a montage of Bruce working out and going through Lex's stuff and making kryptonite weapons. We see that DC has shoehorned in the Justice League members by having camera footage of them on Lex's files. Meanwhile, Lex does the stupid and uses his blood on Zod's body to try and resurrect a dead Kryptonian.
But my enemy can make a new enemy.
And sugar, spice, everything nice in Chemical X made the fucking Powerpuff Girls. Do you want a fucking cookie?
The media does what it does best and creates hate around the world towards Superman. Lois then investigates the home of the wheelchair man and she deduces that he didn't know he was going to die in an explosion. We then head to the mountains where Clark has a mental conversation with his father about what to do. Bruce has a heart-to-heart with Alfred that leads nowhere before we see Mama Kent being abducted while Batman sets a trap for Superman. Lois is then also kidnapped by KG Beast and company and taken to see Lex face to face. They have a short talk about what he's up to, only for him to shove her off the building.
You came back.
You know, I think it would have been funnier if Superman didn't show up and showed Lex he was more of a dick than he thinks. But, you know, that would actually be something interesting. Wait a second. Did your background change?
While you were off having a little, few day fit, I moved. So, new background stuff.
Well then!
Lex lets Superman know he knows everything and wants a man versus God fight between our two heroes, and in order to get Superman to comply, he shows him proof that he has his mother in captivity. Meanwhile, in Gotham, unusual activity is happening at the docks are bombarded with electricity and power. The mystery woman then gets an email from Bruce revealing to everyone that he knows that she is Wonder Woman, and we see clips of the other meta. So I know they fixed this in Justice League, but they should have been ready for Ezra Miller to be in the persona of the Flash, because last time I watched it, he had a beard, mustache, or whatnot, longish hair, and he sounded kind of older. And where did they get the stuff for Aquaman?
I have no idea.
I'll tell you, it's kind of a unique way to show all the meta.
Unique, yes, but still shoehorned. Our fight finally begins of our two heroes as Batman sets off a sonic trap, which is quickly destroyed, and turrets that are also quickly destroyed. Superman eventually gets tired of trying to talk some sense into him, but Bat refuses to listen as he's blasted into a nearby building.
The fight goes back and forth with Bats releasing a kryptonite gas, and the two just beat the crap out of each other and just tear the building apart. After Batman uses another gas bomb and literally throws the kitchen sink at Superman, he throws him down a chute towards the set of kryptonite sphere, and as he goes for the kill, he is stopped by one single...
What does that mean? Why did you say that name?
Are you fucking serious? That is what gets Batman to stop attacking Superman? The fact that he said his mother's name and all of a sudden everything is done with? He's magically friends with Superman now after years of anger towards this person? One word is what makes him think, oh, maybe I've been wrong. No, that is fucking stupid writing, and it is stupid for you to make me watch this shit. I fucking hate you. Lois breaks the fight up by helping Superman explain that his mom is captured, which he should have just said from the beginning to stop all the fighting before it even began. But, you know, stupid short fight still has to happen. Anyway, the two heroes head to the docks, and the heroes that supposedly doesn't kill anyone kills a shitload of people Arkham City style.
We then get one of the few good action scenes in the film that is close to the Arkham games, where we see how good Batman is at combat and stealth as he single-handedly takes down all of KG Beast's men, and Batman saves Martha.
Yeah. Just assume all people in capes know your son. That's heroism. Meanwhile, Lois decides it's time to get rid of the spear made to destroy Kryptonians, and Lex is pissed that his plan has failed and releases his creation.
What kind of Ninja Turtle sleeping with Lord of the Rings abomination is that supposed to be? The fight between Doomsday and Superman begins as the two beat the crap out of each other and just tearing the city apart, but eventually the army gets involved and try to help, which just backfired, even trying to nuke the two fighters.
As the city looks on in terror, Batman realizes his mistake as Doomsday goes super abomination, giving us the bone body we are known to see in the comics. Batman then realizes the only thing that will kill this monster is the spear, so he has to go chase him back to Gotham, and Batman is then saved by an unlikely ally.
Three cheers for the best thing in this film.
Not doing it.
Hip hip.
Nope.
Hip hip.
Still nope.
Hip hip.
Hooray.
Our Trinity discuss what Doomsday is and how to kill it, while Lois dives for the spear but gets locked underwater, causing Superman to ditch the fight and save his love, naturally, and deciding to grab the spear for himself, and our godlike hero does what is needed in order to save the day and sacrifices himself to bring Doomsday down.
So Superman is dead, Lois grieves, Lex is arrested, the world mourns over Superman's death. We then have a long dragged out funeral scene that finally ends with Bruce talking to Diana about not failing Superman anymore and asking her to help him find the other metahumans in order to find another way of hope, in order to rebuild what he tore down. Our film then ends with Batman visiting Lex, saying he's going to be transferred to Arkham, but Lex just talks about everything being too late. Are you happy now? You wasted 3 hours of my life just to get a 10-minute fight sequence between the titular characters and nothing but exposition. Fight and don't tell! Just let things happen! Everything had to be explained. Instead of just letting us enjoy two big-name superheroes beating the shit out of each other. And this is why the DC Universe is failing.
If you look at it from a fan's point of view and not a critic's point of view, overlooking every single bit of stupidity in it, it might be just enjoyable, barely.
But then I wouldn't be doing my job as a movie critic now, would I? And speaking of more movies, Little Certain Holiday is right around the corner. Which would mean that your good old friend Rainbow should be joining.
Yeah, screw that. I'm out. Alright, there we go.
As for me, I'm going to be doing some more Halloween-filled fun myself. as next week we take a look at 2 separate Power Ranger episodes and take a little trip down to Halloween Power Ranger style. I'm your superhero critic, and I really need to find a better film